Welcome everybody to the new video. So today we're going to be talking just a brief thing about a new concept, or not a new concept, a concept in programming that has been here for a long time, and we are going to see how to use that concept here in Python. So that is called functions. So I'm just going to write a few, let's just say function underscore practical dot py. Yes, that's what we name it. So what are functions basically? Functions are simply blocks of code, or a block of code that performs a specific task. Now, the task can be like adding two numbers, finding out the maximum number, maybe between a series of numbers, printing out something. Your print statement is a function. As long as its work is just deliver a particular thing, then that is a function. It just solves, or it just does one task at a time. So in Python, how do we make use of functions? We start functions by making use of the def keyword, or we call it def keyword. Def, it's a keyword in Python. So it's like saying define. So when you hear def, Python then knows, okay, you're trying to write a function. The next thing you write is the name of the function. So let's say we have a function that wants to add two numbers. We can decide and print out the result. We can name the function add. So this is the name of the function, and to close it out, we just need to put in our parentheses, or like I always say, parentheses is the same thing as bracket, but in programming we call it parentheses. So after doing that, we make use of our column. That's the last thing, and then we press enter. Now, because it's a block of code, it has to be indented. So let's say what we do inside the function is to just create a variable that says 2 plus 2, and then prints out x, or prints out the result of 2 plus 2. So let's see what happens when we run this code. I will just run it right about now to take some time. Okay, yeah, so it ran, but we didn't see any output. It's surprising. Now that's because for you to actually see your function acts, you actually have to call it, and we call our function by writing the name of the function and then adding a parenthesis at the end. So this is function call. So nothing in this block of code will run until you call that function. So this is the function call, and using the def keyword, that's the function definition. That's where we state what the function is doing. So let's run this code and see what we get. As you can see now, it printed 4 for us. So this is how the basic structure of a function is. We could also define other functions like subtract, parenthesis, column, block of code. You can say print, this would be a direct approach, maybe 5 minus 2. Yes, so we can decide to call the function subtract by using the name of the function with parenthesis. So we'll run this. You can see we got 3. 5 minus 3 is equal to 3. Yeah, so that's it for functions. To take it a bit advanced, functions have something we call parameters. This is when you are creating the function, you actually have to specify the parameters. Parameters are just like variables that are used within the function. For example, in this our add function, let's say we don't want the function to just be adding only 2 plus, so we want it to also add other numbers. So we'll just have to give it a parameter inside this parenthesis. We can give it the parameter a, and we'll use a comma to define other parameters b. So in this part, anywhere we make use of, we are going to now, let's keep that. We're going to make use of a plus b, and then we're also going to print x. So what happens is this: when we are calling the function at this point, let's run it to see what we get. It gives us an error. It says we're missing 2 required positional arguments, blah blah blah. What it's telling you is that you didn't actually call these parameters. Now what happens is that if I should write 1 comma 2 and I run it, gives me 3. So what happens? This 1, which is this first parameter here, is assigned to a, So anywhere the program sees a inside here, it's going to be saying 1. And same with the second one. The second one is applied to b. So what happened there, it simply said 1 plus 2, and that is how we got 3. See how it works? We can also do other ones. We can say 5, 10, and then we'll run it. We get 15. So you see, parameters helps our code to be a little bit more dynamic. So we are not just stuck to one place. We can reuse our functions over and over again. Like for example, I can write another add, and I will say add 10, and I should add 67, which gives around 77. So you see, it printed out 15, which is this first call here, and printed out 77. You see how functions work now, right? Let us make our subtract a little bit more dynamic. Let's say we say A, we say B inside. So let's subtract 3 and 7. Ooh, that should give us a negative number. Let me connect out this code here. So we're going to run some subtract, and you see 3 minus 7. Oh, it still gave us 3. Now, do you know why this didn't work? We didn't make use of our parameters inside here. So I'm going to change this to A, and I'm going to change this to B. So 3 assigned to A, so it's going to say 3 minus 7 is assigned to B minus 7, which is supposed to give us a negative number. Well, I'm going to run it to see we got minus 4 at this point. So this is an example of how functions work. There are many more things to it. And the last thing I want to talk about now is what we call the return keyword. It's a very, very popular keyword across almost all programming languages. Return is something that is said a lot. Now, for you to understand how this return works, you actually have to think of the ATM and normal bank transfer. Let's say you're transferring to a friend or a family member and you want to send them some cash, or number 2, you want to withdraw cash. Now, by default, whenever you are running any code, all your values and your variables are being stored in memory, right? Yes, they are stored in memory. So what happens is that whenever you're using the print statement, it's like you're actually going to an ATM to withdraw your cash. That's what the print statement, it displays the result for you. Because if your cash is inside your bank, you are not seeing the cash. You are not seeing the money there. If you have money in your bank, you are not seeing the money. When you use your print statement, you are seeing the money. But in a situation where you want to transfer the money, the person too is not seeing the cash, but he's notified that, oh, he has gotten some money in his account. So how does that relate to what I'm saying here? Now, if I should say in this add statement, I say return, I say return X. We could write it like this, return X. Now, let's see whether we can call the add function again. Let's call add, and say add 3 and 5. So if I should call it and I run it, we don't get any output. Why don't we not get any output? Now, this is because we use a return. The output is stored in the memory. How do we now be able to collect that thing from the memory and print it out? We can do that by using a print statement and passing the function inside there. If we do this, we get 8. Good. But this looks a little bit too complicated, and I won't want you guys to be confused at this instance. So what will happen is that we'll create a variable. Let's say result. I will say result is equal to add. So what happens is that when you use the return, it transfers it, and the value that is in this X is stored in this function. So if you call this like this, whatever is the result is going to be applied to what? This variable result. So 3 plus 5, which is 8, is going to be applied to results, and the results will be storing a value of 8. So let's print result. You see, we got 8 in the result. So as long as we change this, we say 5, and we say maybe 24, we get 29. It gives us the output. So print gives you, because whenever you are going into advanced development, you don't always make use of print. You want to make use of return because it gives you your result, but you can then assign it to a variable that you can now make use of in future. Because you don't always, in applications, you don't always print out the results. No, print is only for programmers. So we make use of return a lot, except maybe the function doesn't actually need to give us back anything, it just does a particular thing. So this is just a very, very short introduction to functions. Try a bit to practice around with this. If you have any questions, you can message me online. So thank you very much. Have a great day. Bye bye.